The current IR35 in the private sector was introduced in 2000, and I was actually involved in the original consultations on that. So that's a very long time ago now, and it was very controversial when it first came in, and I think it has been ever since. I think up until now, though, it's not been so much of a concern for the people who use personal service company contractors, because they've not had to get involved in assessing IR35 status, and they've certainly not had any potential liability in terms of making sure the tax is paid. So it's always been there in the background, but it's not been something you've really needed to pay much attention to. And the same with the staffing agencies as well. As long as the personal service company contractor's been happy to deal with it, it's just been a sort of administrative hurdle that they've had to deal with for their tax affairs. Now, that obviously changed in the public sector in 2017, and we were involved in advising a lot of suppliers to the public sector on how IR35 was going to pan out. And as James said, it was a bit of a dog's breakfast, to be honest. No one had ever done it before. There was not enough time and planning put into it. Nobody really knew where it was going to go. And there was an inevitable mad panic in the February and March before it came into effect. And I think it was a pretty stressful time for everybody involved. So this time round, particularly businesses who went through that painful experience back in 2017, I think are trying to get ahead of the game and plan this a little bit more effectively, because it's not just a change in the law. Obviously, you've got to make sure you've got all sorts of processes in place, but there's a lot of communication and reassurance needed in terms of communications with the contractors, who obviously are a little bit in the dark about all of this, and making sure things run smoothly, and making sure that all of the sort of practical contractual arrangements are in place, so that this hopefully can transition in a way that doesn't cause problems and business interruption. But I think it is going to be an evolving process. You know, things are coming to light on a weekly basis now, and the draft legislation was only published on the 11th of July. So it's only now that we've got a little bit more detail around how it's going to work. It is still draft legislation, but I think it's probably going to be pretty much in the state that it will be in its final form. We should see that, I don't know, about December. We're not expecting there to be too many changes. So what I'm going to say today is broadly going to be what you're going to be dealing with in April 2020. So why is the government pushing for this? Well, they regard the public sector changes as a success. So they've already seen an increase in tax take, and they've already noticed that a lot of people who were previously in personal service company arrangements have transferred into full PAY and national insurance type arrangements. And in the public sector, that was largely people like nurses who shouldn't have been in personal service companies. That's obviously not relevant to the types of industry that you're in. But there was a sort of mass transition from PSCs through to PAY arrangements. So as far as the revenue concerned, that's a huge success for them. They've got as many people onto PAY as possible, and ultimately that is their objective. They're not really terribly interested in whether or not people are entrepreneurial, whether they want to run their own businesses. They want to get as many people into PAY as possible. That's what they're aiming for. And that's certainly what IR35 is designed to do. Their research showed that about 1/3 of all private sector contractors who are inside IR35 who would be regarded as being inside IR35, of those third, only 10% of them currently pay tax as if they're inside IR35. So they're looking for a significant switch. And they have said that if this isn't addressed, by 2022-23, there'll be a loss of around £1.2 billion to HM Treasury. So, you know, there is a real appetite to clamp down on this. So far, there has been cross-party support as well, but, you know, goodness knows what's going to happen there. So there's always that slight caveat on all of this, but we have not seen or heard anything so far that suggested that IR35 is going to be abolished or even delayed. The only thing I've seen was yesterday from the Institute of Chartered Tax Accountants. They are recommending that it's delayed, but that's a recommendation, and we've seen no other suggestion that that will be the case. So I think you have to plan and proceed on the basis that this is going ahead in April 2020.